Life can change in an instant. For many wheelchair users, the struggle to push forward is a daily challenge. After years of development and countless prototypes, we created Rib Grips, the revolutionary wheelchair hand rim covers with built-in ribs for ultimate grip and comfort. No more slick surfaces, no more heat burns, just pure, reliable grip. Rib Grips, empowering you to push forward with ease. Rib Grips. Get a grip on your freedom. Discover the difference. Visit ribgrips.com and use promo code GRIP today. You just found the perfect product that helps with staying cool during hot summer runs. No more gross warm water. Stay cool with this product from Gear Handle. This hydration tube cover helps keep your water cool and easily accessible. Stay hydrated during those long summer runs or even delay from freezing in the winter. Plus, they're compatible with various brands of water bladders and come in various colors. Visit gearhandle.com and use promo code H2O today. This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Welcome back to What's Up Waco, the podcast that loves to introduce you to the people, the places, and the properties that make Waco an excellent community to live. Hey everybody, welcome back to What's Up Waco with your host Erica Boisvert, and today I am joined by Cory Dickman.
What's up? What's up, Waco?
What is up? I know it's
the best name. No, it's the best name. For
you
a
love
podcast.
it?
Oh, I love it.
It's fun stuff.
Yeah, you probably you don't realize like how many people probably say it every single day, and they just reference the name of your podcast, but you don't even know it. So.
I'm like, cool. Hey, as long as they listen, I'm golden.
Yeah, there you go.
Very cool, Cory. Welcome.
Yeah.
I know you're not very familiar with this studio space.
Yeah,
so
well, tell
sorry.
me what's a podcast? Can you explain it to me, Erica?
So for listeners out there who aren't aware, Cory loves and owns Rogue Media Network.
I do. Yes.
So he's very familiar with what we're doing today.
Just a little bit. Yeah, really. I mean, I knew Mike Hamilton. He used to be the weird guy that would come into Nexus and set up like a green screen.
I hope he's over there.
Oh yeah,
right
no,
now.
he knows. And I was just like, what are these guys doing? Like,
for sure.
I used to always, it was just like, what? Like, what are those guys recording down there? Like, and I never knew.
Okay.
And the first thing that caught my attention, and it does speak to like two sides of Mike Hamilton, which is one, very talented, but two, he just is a little like, off the rails sometimes. And I was up at the little countertop at Nexus, the old location, and they had like some TV screens. And Mike would broadcast what they were filming down below. Okay. And it would be on this TV. And it was like really cool. I mean, they'd have like these people dance on the screen. Like it was like, I would look at it, I'm like, the first glance is like, oh, someone has some technical ability to be able to do that.
Okay.
Now it was like a weird old man doing a weird dance, and it was like the content was kind of funky, but I was always like, that's impressive.
But the skill
was there.
The skill.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it just took time, but then we became friends and started doing this. And Mike, I mean, for a while, just kind of, I didn't even know what was going on. He was just he was carrying
He's like,
it.
it's just good. We're good.
He was doing that. And then during COVID, he was doing all these like virtual things. And so it probably wasn't about, it was probably 2021, where when we moved, we had this little studio on Franklin, and then we moved to Washington next door to the escape room.
Yep.
And that was where I probably started taking like more interest in it, because it was starting to build, and it was becoming like a thing at that point. And so really kind of, Mike kept this thing going for a couple of years before it really, I guess I started to pester him and bother him about what was going on and things.
Before it kind of like landed in your brain. And
yeah.
you started going, wait a minute, what about this? How about that?
Pushing other things. He made it into my, on my car, there's like the 4 presets,
Yes. Oh yeah.
And so it's like my dad, my wife, and Jared, he's my best friend. We do venture businesses together. And then that 4th one was always rotating. And so for a while, like shout out to Thomas Ellis, Waco X.
Yes.
Thomas was my 4th on there for a little bit. And then when Mike took Thomas's spot on my presets, that's when you knew.
You're like, it's big.
It's big, yeah. So, and there's still the 4. So it's the main 4 there. But
very cool. Yeah, so I'm glad you brought up Thomas.
Yeah.
Because that's another, so back up, because I was just saying before we started recording how there are like 2 people that I've interviewed that I don't know like the approach, because most people just have the one business and I can super focus and ask very detailed questions. But you and Joey Oglesby, you're the other one.
Yeah.
I'm like, where do we go with this? Because you've done Waco X.
Yeah.
You have Waco Escape.
Yeah.
And you got Triple Win. You've got, I mean, I don't think I even know all that you do.
Yeah.
Startup Waco.
Yeah.
Like, what else?
I kind of forget. Like, I'm like, oh, that thing. And
do you have like written on your hand? So you can just be like, what am I doing today?
I did when I moved to Waco, when I moved back, because I went to Baylor. And that's what brought me to town. And then I moved back home for a couple of years. Then I came back and we started the escape room.
Yeah.
But I was like I carried a Sharpie in my pocket.
Okay.
And I would just write notes on the top of my hand, not the bottom because it's too sweaty.
It goes away. Okay,
yeah, but the top. And so I was like, if you've ever seen the movie like Memento, it was like where it's he has like short-term memory.
Yeah.
But he like would tattoo things on himself.
So he'd remember,
So he'd remember. I look like that dude. Like, because I would just have Sharpie things all over me.
Like,
email this person, called. Yeah, it was a disaster.
They make paper for that.
They do. Yeah, I lost paper. I'd lose it. Then I was like,
but my arm.
Yeah, well, now I just like shoot myself a text message.
Yes.
That's how I keep notes. But
do you keep that blue dot going?
Yeah,
so
I keep,
like, don't touch it.
Leave it unread.
Do not read that.
Always. But yeah, it got a little chaotic there for a little bit.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
Okay, so did I hit like? Is that everything?
There was,
for now?
Waco Pedal Tours was in there.
Oh yeah.
That consumed life for a little bit.
Oh gosh,
and then
it had to.
Nexus Esports there for a minute. Their Bittersweet Cookie was a cookie shop on Austin Avenue.
Yeah,
Have we talked about Bittersweet?
We did.
Before? Yeah. Hannah Austin. She went to Baylor. She went through like the incubator in the business school. Was not a business major. She was a film major. And so that always, I was a film major. And so she, was like, oh, that's cool. And then she was the only one that actually exited the incubator. And so it was just, she had a great business concept, amazing cookies. So we did that. There was some other escape rooms not in Waco.
Okay.
Took time and effort, energy away for one in San Marcos and one in Oklahoma, one in Dallas, one back home in Portland where I grew up. And so, some of these other things were taking time and stuff away, but, there's probably something else in Waco area. I had to like think about it.
My gosh, you're just like Mr. Waco. So do you feel like that has helped you as you're like, no, this is my next business venture, all these connections?
Yeah, I would say it definitely comes in handy in some points, because it's usually like if there is somebody I need to get a hold of or somebody to like pick their brain about something, it's like I probably have their number in my phone or at least have like met them at one thing before. So it's not like a complete stranger or whatever. Yeah. So that is probably helpful in some instances. I have always been a like do it myself kind of person. Like I just I'm an only child. Like I had a really great life. My parents were amazing, and growing up in a suburb of Portland. Okay. But like coming to Waco, there was no ties here, right? I had no, like you see some people, and I say this in like the nicest, most positive way, but I'm like, so your dad did what? Like, oh, you have a bunch of money from that.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah.
And so, it's whatever. It's whatever. I'd take it. I wouldn't say
all those
no.
buildings on Austin belong to your family? What?
That was family money?
Wow.
But what I did have was when I came back, I had gone to a really good church, Grace Church. I don't attend anymore, but Jay Mathis was my pastor, and that was like my in to Waco, like the community side, the Waco inside, not the Baylor side. Yeah.
That is a good distinction.
Which is definitely a big thing. And so I felt like I had people to like support me as far as like when we opened the escape room. That was the first venture. And so like I could ask our community group, like, hey guys, can you come and play? Like, I don't know. I need some test groups, And so that helped, right? And that kind of helped build. And then now it's like 9 years later, escape rooms really was on that forefront as far as like small businesses. Like you have like a Common Grounds that like Jill started, right? And now is with Blake, probably some other businesses that I'm blanking off the top of my head. But that were like, oh, they've been here for a minute. Like this wasn't and again, not a bad thing, but this wasn't a Magnolia, is a big deal now. So let's come back to Waco and start a business.
Okay.
Escape rooms, like we were right on that forefront. Like we had opened that same weekend that the Silos did. So really,
wow. Okay.
we didn't move back because of that. We moved back because I just, I knew the town and was familiar with my church. And so you kind of just go from the ground up a little bit. And when you've been here long enough, you kind of just get to know people or whatever.
You really do. I think that's one of the cool things about this area because, I've only been here 7 years or something.
Yeah.
But same thing, probably at one point or another, I've met somebody who can do something, who knows something. They're in my phone.
Yeah. Well, and it's crazy. Like, and I'm just, you gotta corral me, Erica, because I'm going to start going off.
No,
but
are
you? The new, so like the rock climbing gym, right? The Boulder gym.
Yep.
Opened in Hewitt. Trinity Robb, who's one of the owners of that, he was my CL in college. So my freshman year, it's like an RA.
Thank you.
So
I'm like, what's a
CL?
CL?
Baylor's weird. They call them like community life leaders, or I forget what it's called.
Hey,
but yeah,
it works.
They're RAs. And so it was my second semester freshman year. I was in a dorm. I was in Penland in a triple, three of us in this tiny little room. It was terrible. So I was trying to like find another dorm room to live in that had like a bathroom and stuff.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Yeah. And so I joined the LEAD program, which is you move to the Allen dorm and you just have one roommate and whatever. But Trinity Robb was the RA, the CL there.
Oh,
so got to know him and, just like, okay, cool. Like I'm never probably going to see this guy ever again, but we'd keep up and talk and whatever. Well, now it's like cool because he's opened that up and it's like, oh, like that's like full circle from somebody I knew from, 2006, 2007 that is now like jumped into owning like his own business here in town. And I don't know, it's just cool, right? It's like there aren't many people from back in days of like going to school because like we were saying like Baylor's kind of it's Baylor bubble and not a lot of it transfers. A lot of people that you're friends with move to other cities, so they're not really here. Like there aren't a lot of people I went to school with and I'm like trying to think quickly off the top of my head, but they just don't live here. I mean, they don't all my friend group, everyone left.
That's crazy.
Even like kind of people I knew but wasn't super close with, like they don't live here. Like, but there are some. That's
weird because I always thought it was the opposite. I always thought that like if you went to Baylor, you almost had not an in, but kind of.
And it's probably changed, Erica. I mean, probably in the last 3 or 4 years, I bet you more, maybe that like right after COVID or whatever, but I think there's more opportunities for people to stay. There's places like Startup. There's resources for you to start a business if you wanted to. But really back then it was like, if you weren't getting a job in like, I don't know, working at a bank, or if you weren't like going to L3 or something, I don't know, like there just wasn't anything for you really here.
Yep.
And so it's rare for me to run into people that I knew back then as a student. Like Brian Fonville is probably the only other one that comes to mind where like he lived in my dorm with me. He was older, but now he, does a bunch of stuff with Central National Bank. And so, that was like my relationship. I knew him and like we switched banks to go there, forever ago, but because I was like, oh, hey, I went to school with him. And so,
I trust that.
Yeah, I trust that guy. And so, yeah, it's kind of nice when you can run into those people, but for the most part, a lot of kind of the inroads and the businesses I've started and the people I've known, it kind of just, it got rolling once I moved back and did the escape room.
So it was when you switched over to what you said, the Waco Inside.
The Waco, yeah, the Waco Inside, yeah. Because it's like, okay, how long have you been in Waco? And I'm like, well, I can say 2006. So like, part of me wants to be like 18 years of my life. Like I've been here over half my life. But then it's like, 7 years of that was like at Baylor doing undergrad and grad school. It didn't take me 7 years to graduate. I
just
promise.
To be clear.
Yeah, just to be clear. But it's just not Waco. Like when we were living on campus, right?
That's fair.
Like we're in this office here at Alico and I can stare like,
I'm like, you can look at you.
Yeah,
like look,
where my
is.
dorm room used to be. But
what up, Baylor?
Yeah. So anyway.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But I do like the connection. So now that you are kind of plugged into that Waco business community, how does that feel? When you're ready to launch a new business or when you're just even thinking about it and piecing it together in your head?
Yeah.
How does that work? How do you find the community here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it always starts with like, how can you collaborate with somebody,
Sure.
right? Is there, a business that's, you're the peanut butter, where's jelly kind of thing? Like, can the two of you kind of go together and maybe help grow what you're doing? There's an aspect of, and I know Waco doesn't like to talk about like competition and like, everybody likes to play nice in the sandbox, but it's a reality, right? And so if there is another, business that's like yours, you probably want to go check it out. What are they doing?
What are they doing? What's different?
What's different? What can you do better? Are they successful? Are they not successful? From whatever aspects you want to you view that. But I do think it is helpful that you can kind of call upon somebody, or at least be able to kind of collaborate with what they're doing in order to make things better. Because it's a small city. It's not, we're not Dallas, we're not Austin.
Right.
And not that you want to burn bridges in those cities either, but there's just more bridges, right? There's much more bridges. In Waco, there's just not as many. So you do want to be mindful about like who you talk with and work with, because if there's somebody that comes to mind, and I won't say their names or anything, but like, if you misstep and you think, well, I'm just going to kind of get away with this for this person.
Nope.
You don't know their circle of influence, and they tell somebody else what you did. And then now it's like,
it's done.
Yeah.
It is very small in that way. There's not much degree of separation.
There's not.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah. Okay. So, but yeah, I think it is helpful. Like it is helpful to be able to know people and to network and really get at the heart of why they do it. And then you tell people who you are, and just be genuine. I think that's one thing. Waco, people that live here or that are from here or that moved here, like I think they can kind of detect the BS stuff, if you're just like saying all the fluff words, but you don't really mean it. And so I think getting to know folks, really like take them out to coffee to one of the 28 coffee shops, like just take them out to coffee, pick their brain.
But they're all good.
They're all good though. Everybody's good.
Yeah, that's fair. I think so. Networking takes me back to Startup Waco, which is actually where I met you.
Yeah.
And you talked about podcasts, and I was like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
When was that? Is that forever?
Man, I was forever ago because
When did I talk about podcasts there?
So long ago.
Was this like before COVID, like 2019?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know that for sure. No, because I wasn't doing this yet.
You weren't doing this yet.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so it was after.
It was after.
Okay.
But yeah, and I went that was the only startup, like, don't hate me. It's the only event I went to. I'll tell you why afterwards. But I really like, that's what you were talking about, and it was already kind of in my brain and the zeitgeist out there somewhere. And so I was like, oh, okay, that's why I was supposed to be at that meeting.
Yeah.
And meeting you is not ever a bad thing.
Yeah, well, depends who you are. No, I'm kidding.
I think we're all
some people probably
happy.
regret it. They're like, gosh, I never have run into that guy.
No, just maybe Mike.
Just Mike.
Just Mike.
Just Mike. He's like, I should have gone a different direction.
Oh my gosh.
I did not need to talk to Cory.
Move to the Alico. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Hey, I have not made Mike move locations.
In like a year?
Yeah, in a year. It's been, every July, it was Mike's 4th of July present. Hey,
guess what?
New location. But you know what? This 4th of July came and went, and we're still here.
This is a pretty chill spot.
Yeah, it's a good spot. Yeah, I know. I told Mike we won't. Yeah, I said we won't move again, and unless we can kick the lawyers above us out.
Ooh, yeah,
this the only floor up. So, but I don't think they're going anywhere.
No,
so,
no.
Yeah.
It's funny because a lot of people that come in, even if they're from Waco, they're like, oh, I've never been in the Alico.
Oh man, yeah, it's
all the time.
It was so cool to kind of be like John Morris, like the voice of the Bears, to be like, to see his reaction. When He's like, how does a guy that's been here this long, never been up here, to kind of see their reaction to it. So that's cool. But
it is very cool.
Yeah. But Startup was really neat. Startup, came out of basically a collaboration between the city and Baylor and the chambers, and just kind of as a, nonprofit entity to help support entrepreneurs as they either start a business or try to grow a business or try to exit their business. And so really I can't, from the start of it, like I can't take credit. Like it was like Jake Cockrell and this guy, Kevin Renoir, and then Greg Lehman, they'd kind of formed a group where they, in the chamber, Waco chamber, would go check out different cities, Nashville Entrepreneurship Center, there, one in Austin and different places, and try to look at these concepts and say, well, how do we bring that to Waco? And so they did a ton of legwork and got the space and renovated it, and was helpful with like putting a board together and finding the money, always need the money,
always
get
need
the
that.
money.
Yep.
And so it really was just when they basically were ready to open the doors, the guy that was going to do it, they just didn't feel confident in his and what was going to happen. And so
Okay.
I just, it was Chris Collins over at the chamber called and just was like, hey, can we get you for 6 months?
How about
Just
this?
come in. Yeah, be an interim CEO. And I thought, I get to be an interim CEO.
Ooh.
I kind of like that. And so, but it kind of,
I'm like, how's that interim working?
yeah,
out?
how's that interim work? Yeah, how'd the interim go?
How'd that go?
And but it was cool. So I came in and that was always my heart once I kind of got going with escape rooms and other ventures was like, how do we get more people to start businesses here? Because I was just like, and times have changed, Erica. But like back then, it was just like it was a lot cheaper.
Oh yeah.
To do it than other cities, and you could fail, and it didn't like ruin your life, and
Right.
so and it just had that. It still has that feel, but it's a little bit more expensive now than maybe it was back then.
Yeah,
but,
a little bit,
just a little bit. But it had all that, and the community was great, and there was good collaboration between all these different partners.
Mhm.
And so startup, yeah. And I was like, look, as long as I can still like kind of do my stuff, I was like, I'll home base here. Like this can be my spot. And people, that became what I found to be one of the worst parts because then people knew where I was.
They knew where you were.
Oh, they could just come in and they just
Hey,
knew.
Corey.
Hey, Corey's here. It's
What
like,
you doing?
Oh, dang it.
Can I pick your brain for a minute?
Didn't think about that.
Yeah.
But no, it's a great spot. It'll always hold a special place in my heart. And I remember when they were looking at different candidates to come in. John's great. John Passavant, the executive director, CEO there, is awesome. I didn't know they were going to pick him. I was like, he was from New York. He didn't live here. And so, which was part of, I think they were trying to find somebody kind of out of our sphere here.
Yeah. It helps.
Bring in new ideas and stuff. And so he's been there now for, almost like 5 years. So,
wow, okay.
But they, my dad does the meetup every Wednesday and loves doing that.
Really?
So, yeah. So it's a good free networking event for people to come to. So
it's a great way to meet people.
It is.
And it's like, what, 9 on the clock? 9 on the clock?
9 on the clock.
Oh my gosh.
9 on the clock.
9 o'clock in the morning.
9 a.m. Wednesdays. They have somebody present, about their business. And, so it's, if you're like a shy, I don't even say a shy person because I don't, like the networking groups where you just go mingle. Yeah. Oh, I used to just, I'm sweating thinking about it. Oh, I hated it. Cause I didn't have like my little circle back then. I was like, I don't know who to go talk to.
It's uncomfortable.
Like you're back in high school or something and you don't have friends. And so, yeah. And so but with startup or with the meetup, it used to be called 1 Million Cups and now the meetup, but it is just it's like, you don't have to go in. You don't really have to even know anybody. Like you can sit down, you get to hear someone's story, how they started their business, ask some, they all open up to Q&A, and then you can hang around and talk if you want. If you need to leave, you can leave. But it's just kind of like I feel like get your feet wet and get to a group and get to start meeting some people.
It is kind of a dip your toes in.
It is.
Say hello and then go on with your day if you need to.
Yeah, for sure. So
that's good.
So startup's a great spot.
It is. And I think it's awesome for just in general. I feel like I was just talking to another Joey's wife, Summer, about mostly people, business owners here feel pretty much 90% of the time like everybody's in this mindset of abundance and we can all help each other out and collaboration is the way to make things everybody win, right? Yeah. And so and that's been a common thread as I've only done a few of these episodes, but I find it to be a common thread that this is a very encouraging, supportive place to open a business. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just startup is one more way. Yeah. To plug yourself in.
Yeah, it is. And it's, if you're looking for somebody, you need help with this or that or whatever, we're getting better about like capital and money. I mean, it takes money to start business. Like it just does. And, and it's okay, to know that, and you need to find access to capital. And a lot of times, you may not have a lot of money to start, or it's frustrating to jump through hoops at a bank or whatever. Yeah. And so startup, I think, is getting better about having resources like an access to funds and things like that. So, that's kind of something that's been, I think, lacking here in town for a while. And so I think that has been picking up, which is good. But
that's a good perspective because people forget about that part.
Yeah, they do. They're like, oh, I need money.
I've got this idea. Yeah. It's amazing. And I want to buy that building.
Yeah. And I what? And I need money.
How much is it?
What are you talking about? Yeah.
1.2. What? Now?
Yeah.
No.
For sure.
But then, okay, we're going to transition.
Okay.
Because I can't just focus on one thing.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go to Triple Win.
Okay. Yeah. Triple
Where
Win.
did that come from? The idea for it?
Yeah. So Waco Pedal Tours.
Mhm.
It's a business that we had started. There are these like 14 to 16 seat passenger
Mhm.
pedal bikes that sometimes you don't really have to pedal though. But
I'm like, is everybody pedaling?
we won't talk about that. But Jake Cockrell and I, so one of the guys that had started Startup Waco, Jake and I, long story short, but had decided let's do this business. So okay, let's do it. And so we bought a bike from Fredericksburg, brought it to Waco. We had the marketing down, we had the processes down, like all the things that people talk about, like for your business. Yeah, I was like, great, we have that. Yeah,
done.
What we didn't have was like a mechanic or thinking like, if this thing breaks, like what do we do? Him and I just thought, this thing will run forever. Yeah. Well, not the case. Not the case. Yeah. Cars like break. I don't know why.
Weird.
Yeah. It's weird how that happens. I don't get it. And so anyway,
so lame.
The bike had a few breaks. We were able to fix them. Then it had like a big problem with the motor, and so it just wouldn't move. We couldn't get the darn thing to move. Like where
just like seized up done.
Oh yeah. Ugh. Where like Z's on the Curry is. I don't think it was Z's back then. I think it was just a building.
Okay.
But the bike broke down right there, and it just sat on the curb.
Oh my gosh!
On the curb for a couple weeks, or maybe been a month. It was during spring break. I remember because I thought I was like, good. This is like going to be one of our biggest months. The weather's nice. So we weren't able to. We had to cancel so many bookings. I'd never done so many refunds in my life. It was just
there
like
backlash
painful.
From it?
Everyone was pretty chill.
Good. Okay.
But it was just it was awful. So we tried to fix it, couldn't fix it.
Okay.
So we talked to our insurance guy, Everett Phipps, and so shout out to Everett. And we were like, dude, we don't know what to do with this thing. Like, you're the insurance guy. What can we do?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I have a guy. And I'm like, oh, great.
Oh,
like,
a guy.
I heard that so many times. I have a guy.
I don't know if I want to meet your guy.
That scene from like Oceans, Clooney. You have a guy. And I was like, dude, we've called so many guys. Nobody can fix it. We like mailed the thing off to California.
It's very specific, right?
Oh, it's so specific.
Yeah.
The thing was so specific. And he's like, trust me, like this guy can fix anything. And I was like, dude, I'll meet with one more person. And if I have to explain this one more time, so anyway, I said, okay, give him my number or whatever. So I text this person and meet me here, blah, blah, blah. So I meet him, I'm waiting, and then I see this guy peeling up in his truck, and he like just zooms in real fast, gets out, and his name's Clay. And I was like, hey, are you Clay? He's like, yeah, is this the bike? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, well, do you need me to tell you? And he's like, no. And so he just gets underneath it, and he's like, Clay's like 6'4", big dude, he's looking good right now. You lost some weight, Clay. Oh. But you're doing looking good. And so he's underneath the bike. Then he gets out and like goes back to his truck and then comes back and and then he's like, hey, he's like, okay, turn it on, like hit the pedal. And I was like,
shush.
Okay. And so like I go in it and it's a motor, it's electric assist. So it runs on a battery. So I turn it on, hit the pedal, and the thing moves, Erica, like 30 feet. It moved like 30 feet and then it broke again, but it moved.
But it moved.
I was like,
baby steps.
I was like, what did you do? And he's like, I think I know what to do. And then he just like was gone. Right. And it was like, what the heck? And anyway, so his name's Clay Springer. Clay at the time was the CT director at Rappaport Academy. So he's in education, but Clay is just like, he's a brilliant guy. He's like Mike. I'm very fortunate, Erica. I'm not very smart, but I'm smart enough to surround myself with smart people. And Clay is really smart. And so figured out what we needed to do, and we had to basically find somebody to like make this input shaft, and like it was in Chinese metrics, and then it was American inches. I don't know. Anyway, but he can talk the lingo. Like Clay can speak the shop talk, and I just don't know what I'm talking about. So he found this guy. Long story short, the guy handmade this piece, and it just fit. And then the bike starts working, and it was like, I was like, Clay, I don't know how you did this, man, but like, I appreciate you.
Wow.
More than
so Everett knew a guy.
Everett knew a guy. He knew the right guy. So it's working. So about a week goes by, and the bike's doing great. Clay hits me up, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? And I was like, whatever. And he's like, hey, I want to pitch you something. I'm like, okay. So he comes and pitches me on this concept of he wants to build another bike. He's like, dude, the first one I fixed it. I can build you a second one. And like during the time when the first one was broken, we priced out how much it would cost to build a second bike. And they're like $80,000. Like they were like too much money. Like, we couldn't afford.
How are you
that.
gonna recoup?
We
Yeah.
had just fixed this one. Like, and so Clay's like, look. If you do this and this, you agree to do this, we'll build it in Waco, all the parts, like ground up. So everything, if we need replacement parts, it'll be in Waco. Like it's American made, like Waco made. And, he's pitching me on all this. And I was like, okay. And he's like, we'll do it for like 30. Like, we'll do it for like more than half off. And I was like, well, okay. And I talked to Jake and I'm like, well, if we can get 2 bikes, like, and then I don't know. Yeah. I'm trying to work in the math. And so we go back to Clay and we're like, all right, man, we'll do it. Like, let's build another bike. And he's like, awesome. He's like, oh, I forgot to tell you, we're going to use high school students and they're going to like build it. And I was like, dude, I'm out. Like, what are you doing?
Well, how do you think he got the cost
I know,
so
how to get the cost so
Come
low.
on, Cory.
I was like, bro, I'm not doing that. And anyway, he wore me down. And so we ended up doing this. Yeah, so these Rappaport students, they were 2 seniors, two juniors, Connery, Sydney, Ryan, and Victor. And the 4 of them, with Clay's help, built this thing from the ground up. In 6 months, they welded it together. They ran all the electrical. Fast. They ran the car because it had like a Jeep transmission on it. Like they built like just crazy, Erica. And I remember we told them 6 months, like you have 6 months because I'm going to rent this warehouse thing at the Tin Man, like for a 6-month lease, and I'm not going to do any more. So it has to be done in 6 months. And like
all the time. Yes.
And to the day they had that thing rolling out of there in 6 months.
Quick side note, Cory's still in that building.
Yeah, I actually live there. My poor wife has to live there with her.
The baby just runs around.
Yeah, Ellis just runs around. But he got it done.
Wow.
And so it kind of, it was great. I didn't think students could do it. We got, tons of publicity out of it. I didn't know at the time kind of what Clay was working on the backside, which is just this like program where students, because we paid these students. This wasn't like a free.
Sure. You're not like slave labor.
Yeah. Man. No. Yeah. This wasn't like course credit. Like kids got paid, they did. This is work-based learning, which I didn't know what that was back then. And so Clay kind of was building this model around this where students could work with a company, provide them with something like a pedal bike or a food truck or whatever, at ideally like a lower cost. And then the students could get paid while doing it. There were some certifications that the students could earn, OSHA or welding certification or entrepreneurship or whatever. Yeah. They can earn that. And if they do, then the school would get, some extra funding or whatever from the state. And so the school would win. So these 3 entities would win out of it. The school, the student, and the business. So he kind of was just building this in the background. And so Clay had pitched, he won a business pitch at Startup Waco, kind of centered around this concept. And so I was like, dude, like you might have something with this. And so we just, and then we became friends throughout this process. So we would just kind of keep up. And then we did another build for Waco for Waco Axe. We built the mobile axe trailer. So before we like opened Waco Axe, we did a trailer.
Oh,
so we
didn't realize that was first.
That was first. Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Woodway Baptist was our first trailer event.
How fun.
Yeah, in like I want to say maybe November or something. I remember I was out there with Thomas, and so we knew like there was a franchise coming into town, and so we were trying to like do something creative to like kind of get out ahead of it. And so, we did all this great pre-stuff with Waco Axe, and then COVID hit, but we were like, we thought we were it was so awesome.
So ready.
That first month at Waco Axe, like that February, I think we opened like February 12th. It was right around Valentine's Day.
Oh gosh.
To then like March 9th or 10th. Like it was killer.
It was like,
our first month of sales were great. And then it was like, oh no. But anyway, so we did this Axe trailer for them.
Very
and so,
cool.
So it was just a cool concept that really Clay had kind of built out of knowing the side of education. And so in 2020, I was doing an operator development program at Chick-fil-A. I just gotten married, and I told my wife, I know all this entrepreneurship stuff stresses you out. So let me try to find something that's like
I'll get a job.
Something steady. Yeah. Something that's still like entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Something that feels steady. And so Chick-fil-A kind of was the thing that ended up winning the day there. And so I was doing that for a year, and then it was supposed to be another year, ended up not doing another year.
Oh.
But at that time, Clay was like, hey, come on, let's do this. Like, let's do Triple Win. Like come on board. I think we can really make this happen. And so then I ended up doing that with him. was like October of 2020. And so we did that. And yeah, I mean, it's ever since then, it's been, I mean, it's expanded a lot. There's a, you know, we have a building on Washington, or on Webster, you know, a maker space. And, you know, there's other businesses in there that rent space. And it's just it's a really cool ecosystem. You know, Rappaport Academy was like, you know, Alexis Newman, the superintendent there, was like just so cool with taking a chance on something that was like innovative, and like just rolling with clay on it, rolling with myself, and just like one of the biggest supporters. And like,
that's so cool. So much faith in that.
So Rappaport is like incredible, and it's a great school. It's you know, they're always about like, how do we be different and push the envelope in a good way.
Oh yeah,
as long as the student experience, that's like our mission statement of Triple Win, is like, we want the students to get good experiences. You know, entrepreneurship is kind of the vein of it, the skeleton, if you will.
Okay.
But through that, students can learn, like, if they don't like this, or if they do like this, like, it's a lot of it sometimes just eliminating things that you don't like.
That's very helpful.
Get you down into a path, something you do like. And so, but Raps has been great, and they're just like the biggest partner in this. And so, you know, you were over there today and caught, you know, checked out some of the students. So they're back now. So they'll be there every day from, you know, 10:30 to noon. And they'll, you know, do different aspects of the makerspace, or learning different trades and career stuff. So,
well, and I love that they can walk away with a certification too. So if they are and they're like, oh yeah, no, then they have a skill that they're walking away with.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
When we tell them, like, you know, resumes now, like, are just crazy. Like, resumes are crazy.
I don't think I'd want to fill one out.
Oh,
right. I wouldn't want to make
be
one.
Awful, right? But like being able to like literally put either like work experiences or like certifications you've earned, sometimes like almost give you a leg up over like, oh, my degree was in blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, but do you actually know how to do you have anything?
Any real world experience? Yeah.
But if you're like, hey, well, I got certified in this, so like I passed a training course that's very specific into this one thing, that does, I think, hold a lot of weight. And so students will leave with certs, and you know, we, depending on the program or what they do, they can get paid. Sometimes, you know, if it's entrepreneurship, they only get paid if they sell anything, or
that's real life, right there.
That's real life, yeah. So it's cool, man. Triple Win is
what a cool concept.
A really cool aspect. In the summers, we partner with, you know, other schools, Waco ISD, La Vega, Lorena in the past, Connolly, and so we're able to kind of do these group projects together, and so students from different school districts get to kind of be side by side, and then we usually pair it up with industry partners, like Sturdy Steel out in Hewitt was the partner this past summer, the one that just wrapped up. And
nice.
So yeah, I don't know, there's just a lot of cool aspects of it, and it's been something that, you know, it feels a little bit like startup in my mind sometimes, mixed with like a makerspace, mixed with education, and so it hits on a lot of the great points that, like, the things that I enjoy, and so it's been fun.
No, that's really cool, and it's fun. You know, a common theme through all of the things that you've done, it feels like, is they're all collaborative.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah. Yeah. Growing up, man, my mom was like, I would say her superpower was getting people on board with something.
Really?
Like, I think that was always what, just watching her, that I mean, she was a great like sales person, but like, and she was very like artistic and creative. But I think that like motivating factor, like she's just being a motivator of people, or like knowing like your skill set's this, your strength's this, your weakness is this, let's put the three of you together and we'll do this thing, because we can all balance each other out. And I think that's just where a lot of that comes from for me. And so
she gave you that blueprint.
Yeah, it's the blueprint. It's the blueprint for it. And so yeah, I don't know, that's interesting that you bring that up, because it's kind of the common,
like, right, it's kind of your in all of it. And even with Waco X, like, that's not, you're not part of that anymore, but like, y'all work together.
Oh yeah.
And right? Like,
And I always tell people, like, I'm like, you get me on the team, I'm on the team. Like, I am too loyal. I'm loyal to a fault. I think that phrase definitely applies to me. Like, I sometimes just need to move on, but I just don't. And so like with Waco Axe, it's like, dude, you know, I always told Thomas, I was like, dude, if I'm an owner, or if I'm not an owner anymore, like, I want this other axe place to not be here anymore. Like,
look at what happened.
Yeah, I want the franchise gone and just Waco Axe to do their thing. And I'm not more joking, but not joking. But
I mean,
whatever. You know,
they didn't walk away sad.
They didn't walk away sad.
So that's good.
Yeah, but and so I'm like, man, you get me on the team, I'm on the team, regardless if it's, you know, if I'm involved still or not involved still.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
Well, and I like the concept there too. Like that's the one we went to because of all the veteran, like, you know, veterans are, you want to talk about loyal?
Oh my goodness.
Veterans are loyal people.
Oh dude. Yeah. Thomas would, I just don't want to say like take the shirt off his back to help you, because that's not even half of it. But like, dude, Thomas would just go to the ends of the earth to help you with something. It doesn't matter what it is. And yes, like that's his time being like an Army Ranger, like that. I think that's why he gravitated towards joining the military. But that was just like Thomas too. Like he just embedded in that. But just so many people like we had hired really only in the beginning were like vets. And so our original crew at Waco Axe were just like these people that would just like go above and beyond. You know, sometimes you had to like remind them to like put your hours in. Like I need, and they're like, oh, it's fine. Like
and you're like, no.
Yeah, no,
you
like
get paid
we
to
need
be
to
here.
pay you to do this, you know. And so, but it's just part of. I just part of that. I think just being a vet and giving, you know, of your life and your in fighting for freedoms and all these things. I think just work into small business in certain ways. And
so well,
yeah.
Like, I tell you right now, no joke, and I say it all the time. My favorite clients are vets.
Yeah.
Because I give them like, I need you to have this, and this done.
Yep.
It's done.
Done.
Next day.
Yep.
Done.
Yep.
So, not that I don't love all of my clients.
Yeah. You love them all.
I love you all. But I'm also, you know, a veteran's wife, a veteran mom. Like, that's where our heart is too. So we always, Waco Axe was our spot either way. Yeah. But that worked out really cool. I love a veteran-owned business.
Yeah.
Get out there.
No, for sure. And Thomas was huge at Triple Win too. I mean,
really?
Thomas was there for maybe 2 years, might have been 2 years, year and a half, 2 years. And Thomas, I mean, was just like huge, instrumental in like the story of getting it going and, you know, finishing the building that we're in and like all that stuff. And so, yeah, he knows.
Yeah,
Shout
definitely. Yeah. Good job, Thomas Ellis. Yeah. And definitely collaborate. Like, look at that. Like he was even involved with Triple Win. Like you just have built.
Yeah. I suck you in, definitely. Yeah. No. It's like, how many things can you do?
What else? What else do you know how to do? Come on.
I've tried to be a lot better. I mean, there was a group here that in town that it was like, and if you're listening to this and you remember who you are, but like it was like 20 businesses in 20 years or something.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
You know, I think Gib Reynolds, maybe if you're listening, something like that. But I remember hearing that. I was like, 20 years. I was like, yeah, I gotta do that in 2. Like, what is that? What do you need 20 years? And that
feels like a really long time.
Yeah, that's way too long. And so that kind of did get me on that pathway. And then I think the foolish side of me was like, oh yeah, this is a lot to manage by yourself. And so that's probably why it takes 20 years. But
look at that.
Yeah. And so I think once it became like more evident, like, hey, like I love what we do with Triple Win. I see the scalability and like the pathway for Rogue Media of like being a media company and where we're going.
Yeah.
You know, escape rooms was like the first thing. We just so blessed with like a really great staff and you know, Abby, who had been our manager there for the whole time or had been there the whole time. And, you know, sadly, you know, she had to move on in her life. So she left us a couple weeks ago, but, you know, with her there, it was like escape rooms was, it could just go.
Yep.
And so all these other things just had to kind of, I would say fall off the plate, but like I needed to kind of go back to like honing in on a few things rather than, you know, 20 things. And so, so that's felt good. It's weird sometimes, but like I said, I'm still like involved. Like I can never like completely step away from stuff, but as far as like ownership and like truly what needs to be happening on a day-to-day basis, it's like Triple Win and it's Rogue Media and then sprinkled in with a little bit of escape rooms. But
it must be nice to be able to trust the people that you've put in the positions.
Oh yeah,
to handle right.
Oh gosh,
to be able to step away.
Cultivate. I forget some things. Yeah, Cultivate. I mean, Debbie Wright has like killed it. Like she was our manager there, and then she bought it from me. Like Debbie is an incredible human being and just killed it. Like, and so like you do come across really good people. I mean, Zach, you know, has been doing Nexus for 6 years now plus. I mean, Zach's like every time you think Nexus is down and out, like Zach figures out a way to to keep it going. And,
That's awesome.
and, you know, so like there are really good people that I have been like really lucky and blessed to like work with. And then they're still going. I mean, and then, you know, we sold pedal tours to Tita and Ennis. They're based out of Temple, but like, Ennis is a veteran. Ennis was, you know, a mechanic, and like, he works on the bikes. He probably knows them better now than I ever did. And, you know, they do great. I mean, the pedal bike's still just rolling around, and Tita and Ennis do a great job. And so, you know, it's been definitely like, you want to find good fits of like, if I'm not going to be involved, who's going to continue this and keep it going.
Yeah. Cause it's your baby. You're not going to just like pass it off. Right.
I know, man. Yeah. Until I actually had a kid, it was like a baby, right? It was like you feed it, you change it.
You think it wakes you up in the middle of the night.
It does.
It's your first thought in the morning.
Totally. So
very cool.
So yeah, man, it's been crazy. But
so curious, you're very embedded in the community and all that. Do you consider Waco home?
It is home. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I even, you know, my dad, you know, it was senior year, and I had gone back to Portland. We were like at a Trailblazers game, an NBA game.
Ooh, fun.
And we're chatting, and he was like, "Hey, what time is your flight back to Waco?" You know, and I was like, "Oh, well, I go home on blah blah blah." And he's like, and my dad was like, "Oh, like you go back home on." He was like, "I thought
you go where now?"
I thought you were home, and I was like, "That's crazy." Like, I just called it home, you know, without even thinking about it. And so yeah, I mean, I know I did leave and I necessarily didn't want to, right? I'd finished grad school. I was looking for a job. I had turned something down at the athletic department. It was something I didn't really want to be doing. Okay. But I was like, I'll find something else, you know? And so my mom gave me 3 months. She's like, "Hey, you have 3 months to find a job." I was like, "Cool. Like,
you can come home,
yeah,
but
we're going to support you for 3 months." Well, I still had a place here.
Oh, you were here.
Yeah, I was living in Waco. So I graduated in May. And then I had my lease until August. So I was like, yeah, man, like I have a graduate degree now. Like, I'm hireable, man. Yeah, easy. And so like month 1 goes by, and I was like, well, I mean, I was like working at Jimmy John's. Like, I was just like doing something just to have some money. But I was still like trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then my parents were just like, "Hey, how's the job search coming?" And I was like, "Good. Like, first month, like nothing yet, but you know, I got 2 more months." And my mom's like, "Well, actually, we're going to come down next week." And I was like, "Oh, what? Like from Oregon?" And my mom didn't fly, so they drove. Oh, and I was like, "You're coming like just to visit?" She's like, yeah, we just want to come see you." I was like, okay. So they drive. It's like a 32-hour drive. Yeah.
I hope they took the one down at least.
Oh, the one down?
Oh, like if you take that coastal. Never.
Mind. Like
it'd be way longer.
Oh, heck no. Oh, from like going down the coast. It is really pretty, but no, they didn't.
But no,
they didn't go that.
They went diagonal.
They didn't go that route. Yeah, yeah. Highway 84 for a long ways, and so they get here and we're chatting, and then basically they were just like, "Yeah, we're bringing you home," and I was like, "What?" I was like, "No, I have 2 more months left." Like, "No, we're bringing you home." Oh. And I was like, "Well, I have a lease for 2 more months." She's like, "We already talked to your landlord. We got you out of it." I was like, "Are you serious?" And then like I had this really nice poker table, like really, like I was kind of obsessed for a while. Okay. And I was like, "Well, okay, how are we bringing the poker table home?" She's like, "Well, your dad sold it on Facebook."
Oh my gosh.
I was like, "What?" Like I was so upset, Erica.
That would be, Well, that was like out of nowhere.
Because they knew.
And you thought you still had 2 months.
Oh yeah, they had no idea. They blindsided me. I was so upset.
That'd be rough.
Yeah, so I go home and it was awful. Like home was because they had moved from Portland. My dad was working at the Salt Lake office, Salt Lake City. So I was like living in Salt Lake. I had no friends. I was like, okay, we're gonna work this random job, which was a good job, but I was working there, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, what does life look like right now? You know, and it was just like so frustrated, you know. And then like, you know, the long story short, like my mom ended up getting sick and was diagnosed with liver cancer, and you know, really up until then we had about a year when I moved to Salt Lake to when she got diagnosed, where it was just like I would come home and just hang out with my parents every day because I had no friends.
Well, you went to a brand new everything,
brand
right?
new everything. Yeah. Not knocking Mormons at all, but like, you know, when I got out of grad school, I was like, 23 years old. And by then, like in Salt Lake, you're married with like 3 kids already. So it was just really hard to find community. And so I would just work and I'd come home. And so I just hung out with my mom a ton. And I think, you know, depending on wherever you stand or beliefs and stuff, but like, you know, being a Christian, like that was like, I think God had a plan there, and I just didn't see it at the time because I was so frustrated.
You're so mad.
I tried to move back at one point. Like I packed up my Jeep, had my dog with me, came back to Texas, and I stayed with a buddy in Dallas for a couple of weeks. And my parents were like, go for it.
Try
like,
it.
If you can find a job, find one.
Oh.
I couldn't find one. And then they're like, hey, come back. So then I drove back to Salt Lake.
Fine.
Just I didn't understand why, and so I think that kind of ended up being why, because it was like,
so looking back,
you got that
time with her.
I was really glad because those were like really good times, even though both my mom and I weren't enjoying. My dad loved Salt Lake. My mom,
but you guys,
my mom and I not so much, but I loved the atmosphere and the snow and all that stuff. But yeah, that was the reason. I don't even remember what the question was, Erica. Now I'm off on a track.
If you feel like Waco's home,
Waco's home, and so, but even though I left, and then when I came back, but even in undergrad, that senior year, it felt like home, and it was just like I'd found a good church, like I'd mentioned, and I don't know, it just pulled me in. Like my friend group, there were probably about 20 of us. And I probably would have been the one voted least to stay. Like I did not, and then
let alone become Mr. Waco.
There you go. Yeah. Nate Embry likes to use this King of Downtown, which I hate, but Mike uses it all the time. It's so stupid. No, it's a stupid.
They're
name.
not wrong.
I don't like it.
I'm sorry,
but
I'll just stick with Mr. Waco. Then.
There you go. And so, yeah, man, it's just it just pulled me in, I don't know. It's growing up in Portland and then growing up in Waco is like night and day. They're just two completely different cities. But
in like every aspect.
In every aspect.
Yeah.
But it's the people, and it's just, seeing the town grow to become a city or small city, and still being close enough to the Dallas and Austin areas to do things. And so, yeah, I just, want to see it. We got to keep making strides, man. We got to like rope in like, Waco Chamber. Come on. But like, we got to get like a big old industry or a big company. Like, we need a big old company to come in and just create like 2,000 jobs. And,
who would be your ideal? Because I thought we were going to have that happen.
Yeah.
And then it didn't really work out that way.
Really happen. Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, like my wife's family is from Taylor, kind of outside of Austin, and they have like the Samsung plant. You can't go there. And everyone talks about Samsung. It's the Samsung plant. Oh, the Samsung plant, and it's like, I don't even tell you what they do at the Samsung plant, but they all talk about it,
there you go.
Or like you get like a big Tesla deal or something that's like, they're just as a job. Like I always use this as a reference of like when one of my good friends, David, when he finished grad school, we finished together. And he had a master's in psychology, was his master's. And it's like, what do you do with that?
Right.
But he wanted to move to Dallas. And so I was like, great. So he moves to Dallas and he like didn't know what to do. So he just got a job at Nation Star, which was this mortgage company. And that was like basically what a 22 to 24-year-old with a college degree just went to work there, because you didn't need a college degree. They paid you like $50. But there were so many people that age, because that company is just hiring recent grads.
Okay.
And that can give you stability for a couple of years while you get to the next thing and the next thing. And that place probably had, within certain departments, there were like 1,000 to 2,000 jobs. They were just like, hey, just come work here. We'll train you, whatever. Like, that's what we need.
Yeah.
We need the job that like the student, because that would have been me.
That would be all the kids that have no idea what's next.
I had no idea. I finished senior year and I stayed because I was in a relationship with this girl that I was like, oh, we're gonna get married, and but I wanted to live closer because she was gonna kind of stick down here in the South. So I was like, well, if I move back to Portland, I'm not gonna be near her, so I just need to stay in Waco. But at that point, I had like a film degree, and I'm like, what am I gonna do in
what
Waco?
do you do with that in Waco?
Yeah, and so a professor had approached me and was like, hey, have you thought about grad school? Like, just get a master's. And I was like, okay. And so I just did that. But like, if I hadn't had that, if there was a job that's like, yeah, we'll pay 50 out the gate or 40 or 50, something that's like not great livable stuff, but like 10 years ago was probably fine. 15 years ago. So, but Waco just doesn't have that. So I don't know the answer to who needs to be.
That's a pretty good.
But I think it's that, Erica.
Something like that.
It's that, and then it builds. Then you get more of a tech jobs. Then you get this or that, and it just starts to.
That's excellent for entry level, because even if Tesla did come here, which would make sense because SpaceX. I mean, make life real easy on yourself,
real simple.
I just don't think it would offer that number of jobs.
No,
right, and it would be a little bit more specific.
It would be more specific, which is fine.
That's a great idea.
We'll take it. But
bring it.
Yeah, but I just thinking like one of those big companies
Yeah.
that maybe you don't even
They
know.
don't even think about their name.
Yeah, you don't even know who they are,
Mhm.
but they just have those kind of jobs that you just need just to make money.
Mhm.
And so you kind of can figure out like exactly what you want to be doing.
Interesting. Well,
So
you just put it out there.
that's the shout out. I'm going to throw it out there. There you
It's
go.
out there.
We'll see what happens.
Very cool. Well, Cory, thank you so much.
Did I just ramble? I feel like
We chatted.
Did we chat?
We had a little arrow here and there.
A little there.
A little target action.
Okay, good. Well, Erica, you do a great job, man.
You're
this
very
is
sweet.
I mean, what's up, Waco? People need to know what's up in Waco, and you doing your
That's fun.
thing. And I mean, I appreciate everything that you're bringing to the table. So,
You're so sweet. Thank you
You're
so
great.
much. I really appreciate you coming here today.
Yeah.
I know your time is very limited.
well, this is great, and I will always make time for you. I had to adjust this a little bit, so
We-
I appreciate you.
It worked out. It
doing
worked out.
Yeah, it did. It did. Cool.
Well, good deal. Thank
All
you
right.
so much. And that is What's Up, Waco.
Peace.
I'm just kidding.
Peace. See ya.
See ya.
Do you have a topic you want to talk about? Do you have questions about Waco, the real estate market, how to sell your house, what to look for when you're buying a home? Send me an email, ericasellstexas@gmail.com. Shoot me a text, 254-447-0180. Happy to chat about it. Find me anywhere you listen to your podcasts or at roguemedianetwork.com.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production. Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.